Hi guys, it's Granny Tana speaking. Welcome to this FS22 Let's Map video. In this video I'll go on working on my upcoming American map Marigold Farm. And in the last part we painted those fields close to the main farm. And until then I painted some more fields in this area to make the official field painting complete. And now I want to define the farmlands. And maybe you know from your PDA map that in a field you usually have a number that indicates the field number. And for some months now we have farmland numbers as well. And usually they differ from the field number. So the farmlands, anyhow, they are not the same as the field. So you can have several fields in one farmland. Usually this is done when the fields are very small. And you can have farmlands for forests or such that are no fields. And therefore the numbers can differ according to your way of defining them. And what I thought is I'd like to try to harmonize the numbers so that the field number 1 is also the farmland number 1. And therefore I knew I have to paint all the fields first, that I know where I want to have the fields. And then I can start with the farmlands. And the painting of the farmlands is really funny, at least for the 5 or maybe 10 farmlands. And then it gets a little bit tedious, but I won't bother you with all the farmlands, only with, let's say, maybe the first 5 to 10. Yeah, so, and there is another thing. Without any special modifications, we only have 62 fields that can be bought, farmlands, and one type of farmland that can't be bought. I will use this type for the borders where you can't go. Then it doesn't make any sense that you can buy this. Here, this area, just the strip at the borders at all 4 things. Yeah, therefore I have to think about whether I will maybe combine some of the fields. But that would disturb the farmland numbering, so I'm not sure about this. And here I thought I start with the main farm. This is rather simple. I thought I make this number 1, number 2, number 3, and the number 1 can be the same farmland like the farm itself. So they belong together. It has a little bit of an odd shape, but I think we can live with this. So the new farmer will have this anyhow, and the farm manager can buy this. I'll try to give the fields the farmlands affordable prices, so they won't be too expensive. Okay, now enough talk. I put together all this. Now we work on the info layer. The farmlands are painted in an info layer. This is a layer that is on top of the map. It's saved in a different file, and yeah, it uses all kinds of colors. As you can see, it's very colorful, and those are the colors of Elm Creek. the fields. Maybe we find the main farm. Oh, it's a little bit confusing somehow. And because Elm Creek is turned like that, and I think the violet area is the farmland that you can't buy. And then I think maybe this is the starting farmland. Oh no. But it doesn't matter. So I thought I would recognize it, but it looks different. It doesn't look like Elm Creek. Yeah, so it doesn't matter for our purpose. First I paint this all in one color. And now it's a little bit difficult. Let's have a look. I'm searching for the number 63 and I make it big, and then we just paint a little bit. It is white. The active number is always white, and now I choose another color. Oh, this is green here. This is good, because in FS19 and other maps this number 63 was also whitish, and so it was hard to distinguish it. But it's easy to distinguish a white from this green. Therefore, I will paint the whole map in this 63, like so. And then what is left over somehow will be the area that we can't buy. So now this is done, and then we start with the number 1, and I make it smaller. And as you can see, it's a little bit difficult to see, so this info layer is kind of transparent, but not totally. So I see the field here, but not very good. So this is the difficult part. And it's easier to see if we have crops here. But I think I will be able to work with it. So now the first field will be this one plus the main farm. Do I really want to do this like that? Okay, I think I can leave it for the next 5 minutes. I just define this field now, like so, and a little bit in this direction. So when you have more, when you want to have more or less all areas buyable, then you need to make the farmlands bigger than the fields, as I'm just doing here. So, like so. And maybe I can leave the decision whether I want to make the farm itself the same farmland than this field for later, because it's no problem to enlarge the farmlands. It's only a problem to add a field in the middle of the chosen numbers somehow. This is not so nice, but it is always good to make it a little bit bigger in the beginning, because then when I define the farmland for this forest, I can go over it and make this a little bit bigger. So I can leave it for the moment. And what I want to do, and I hope it works fine, I want to define the numbers of the fields also, because then I don't have to write down number 1 is the field in the north, just south from the farm. Then I would have to write a lot. But I just make the field definition, the first half of the field definition, at the same moment. But maybe it is a little bit too annoying to always switch the info layer painting off and on. So here I put the field indicator of field number 1 here. And then, oh yeah, I could do it like that. I always make 2 or 3 at the same time. So I add some more in this area here at the left. And I know for you this is very, very small, because I have a huge screen, and yeah, I don't want to be the video file size so big that it's 4K. I don't have so big hard disks. So now I write the numbers for the next 3 fields, and I say the next field number 2 will be this, and the third will be that, and the fourth will be that. So this is not the whole field definition. I have to work on the whole corners to cover the whole area, but that we will do maybe in the next video already, we will see. But this is the next step that is quite a lot of work, especially when the fields are not rectangular. So this will take quite some time, and this maybe I will think about using a script for it, but first I try manually. So now the next farmlands, or first a little bit of saving. Saving is always good. So reactivate the info layer, and now this number 1 became reddish, which is normal. And I choose number 2, and I can remember that this field is number 2. So for the edge I use somewhat small brush, and then maybe I will increase it to fill it out. So yeah, and here I don't know whether this should be part of the farmland. I would say yes. That's better part of the farmland, the land, the farmland of the farm, I mean. So maybe this is better in big, and then here we just go to the center of the road, and then if you want to modify the road, you need to buy both farmlands, but at least you own your part of this road, and you can modify the edge if you want to paint more flowers, for example. So, okay, and now I go for here to about the center, and ah yeah, and I make it a little bit bigger again, and when I paint farmland number 3, I go over it and try to hit the center. And maybe here it should be even one bigger. Oops. So, come on. Yes, yes, wonderful. Now I make it larger. Okay. Then it is faster. And this brush doesn't work really precisely. And therefore I do this always very slowly, because it, yeah, if not, I paint over the borders very often. Okay, now we can do number 3 already. Like so. I start with the smaller one again. And I go over this small road. And here for this I even need an even more smaller, and here we go to the center of the river, or more than the center of the river. And then what about this strip? Who wants to own this? Maybe until here I put it together with this little mountain and the lake. So as we only have 62 fields, when I use the base game numbers, I can't diversify so much. I would like to make very small farmlands that you can buy the lake and this all separately, but I'm sure then I would go much over the 62 fields, farmlands. And I know that you can increase the number, but the maps that I know that had more farmlands were always a little bit problematic with the performance. And I'm not sure about this, how much problem this is for the performance, but I guess for old consoles and all old PCs, it's better to stay with 62 fields. I always say fields, even when I mean farmlands. So, okay, and now I make it smaller. And to be honest, I find it really difficult to make nice shapes, because this is rather a rather big grid that you have. But until now, nobody complained about the borders of my farmland, so I think I can live with it. And that was the number 4. So let's choose the number 4, like so. And I think here we can start with a rather big brush and slowly coming closer. Okay, this is good. And what is very good with this, much better than in the in-game build menu, you can press undo. And this is really my savior somehow. Oh, and maybe this field should go here, another triangle, so I can expand it a little bit. And when I do the undo, it shows the color that it gets when it is done. And then it disappears. So. And here I am quite happy about all the straight borders. Oops. No. So, but I can make it bigger. With my first map, I didn't knew about this trick to make it a little bit bigger when you first encounter the border of an area, especially when it's not straight. And that was very difficult. And then I thought, okay, I could just make it a little bit bigger when I work on it the first time. And then when I go over it with the other farmland, I can work into this. Because when I did it the other way around, there were always little holes. And that I didn't want to fill with this, but it should belong to this, and therefore it is easier to make it a little bit bigger. And this one needs to become somewhat bigger. Oh, this is too small. Maybe like this. And maybe we make it up to here. So you always pay some money for land that you won't use. But if it's meadow, you could cut the grass and feed some sheep or so. Or produce silage and sell the silage. So most of the times I'm rather happy with having some meadows around my fields. Okay, now we have the first 4. And now I save, and then we define the next, yeah, I'd say 2, because then we are done with this area. And after this we go over to the right, and then, yeah. So it is saved very well. 2 more. And I deactivate this. Come on. It is still copying the field areas. Yeah, I should have left it alone. Good. Now field number 5 and field number 6. So to say it again, what I'm doing here is a different kind of definition than the farmland definition. But I want to do this, place this field map indicator while I'm painting the farmlands, because that makes it easier to me if I want to know, oh, which field is this, for example. Then I just can search where it, which map indicator number is on this field, and then it's easier to find for me. So this is somehow a workflow solution, and yeah, with different kinds of definition. Before, I think in FS17 I didn't make any maps, but I think it must have been simpler because we only had fields that you could buy and no farmlands that could group fields together, and the forest, you could just go to the forest and cut down the trees to your liking. So that was a lot different to FS19. Yeah. And so I don't know how the fields were defined in FS17. I played FS17, but I didn't mod in FS17. I only started modding with FS19. So or maybe we just make it straight. Oh. Yeah, what happens with this? I think then this is not defined. Yeah, that looks like being not defined. But we will paint over it as soon as we add the farmland for this. So now number 6. And as you can see, they are all kind of red now. That will change sooner or later when the most important red colors are used. They are all different kinds of red, and the computer doesn't think about, oh, they look similar. It is a different number, and then it's fine for the computer. But for us, they look quite similar. So this is a rather big one. Okay. And it's not so easy to see. And here we have the same again. I should have made this triangle for this farmland. I will do this, but only after working on this. So, and here I go, no, no, no. So, when the area is rather flat, it's rather easy to paint this, but as soon as we have some mountainous area or slopes and such, it becomes more and more difficult to hit the right point. So, no, bigger. Come on. Yes. And then we later paint over it. So, and here we go a little bit further down, and then here something like that. I think this is okay. And here this, oops, little tiny, yes, yes, wonderful. Okay, and now I will add here a little bit for the number 4. A tiny one. Oh, and again, this is too tiny. But for this, it's okay. So, and then I make it bigger. And I know there is you could use the scroll wheel for adjusting the size of this brush, but it's very slowly. So for me it's faster to just type in another number, at least most of the time. So sometimes this is easy enough. But when I want to go from big to small, it takes forever with the scroll wheel. Okay, so now we have the first 6 farm areas, farmlands. And first I save. And then we work on those. And I think then I'll do the rest by myself, because then it is always the same stuff, only the color changes from time to time. So 2 fields for number 7 and 8. Oh, this is already number 6. So this here and this here, yeah. Is it? Oh, it is a 6. It is so small. So sometimes I really have to lean over to read all the stuff that is on the far side of my monitor. Okay, so number 7 will be there. Yes, and here. Okay. Saving again and then painting those. And I guess there will be some very strange shaped farmlands. But maybe for this I go over to here to have this area somehow covered, because it doesn't make sense to sell this separately. Okay, number 7. And let's start with 20. So it will be here. Like so, maybe. Ah. Okay. Yes, now. So I go a little bit closer. Or maybe even still a little bit. So. And here we have to put some angle. And then I just go over to this area. Ah, okay, I see. So maybe, yeah, I can, when I make number 8, I just paint over this. So, come on, come on. And if you leave one or more of those little places empty, like we have there, then the log file is complaining. It says, oh, there are some empty spaces on this map without any farmlands. But that is good. It helps you to find the empty places. So no, it doesn't help to find them, but it helps you to realize that that there are empty spaces. So and here we go. Oops. No. Okay. Like so. And then from here, like so. And here we need it straight. Nice and tidy. Oh, just I say nice and tidy, and then I step over the border. So now here we are, and I choose already number 9, and then we can see the color. Now the color changed, so this is kind of green, and why this is more orangey and they don't stay in the green, I don't know. I don't understand this system of colors, but it doesn't matter. I don't know to understand the system of the colors. I only know, and that is the most important, that there is a distinct color for every farmland, and the computer reads this color, or the console whatsoever, the game reads the color and knows exactly, okay, this color hints on farmland number so and so forth, and then the size is calculated of the farmland, and you know how much you have to pay for this. Yeah, so as I said, I will do the rest of it, and yeah, as you can imagine, it will take some time. And then we'll make, I will see how long it takes me, whether I finish all this and then make the next video about the field definitions. This is quite funny too, and tedious. And we only make some of the fields, don't worry. Or whether I only make some of the farmlands and then start with some of the field dimensions and work on the farmlands in the background between episodes. I will just see how much time I find to do all this stuff. Okay. Yes, I hope you found this interesting, even if it doesn't look like the typical map building, the landscape and the trees and houses, and this is more like strange colors. But this is somehow a look behind the scenes of the map building. Okay, I wish you a wonderful day. Thank you for watching and all the best. Till next time. Tschüss.